With our good buddy David Lombardi, The Athletic. Hey, David, what's shaking?
Good. How are you? How's it going?
We're great, man. How do you think that changes this matchup with no DeShaun Watson?
Oh, they weren't very good offensively, even with DeShaun Watson. I don't think anybody expected him to play at the start of this week when he didn't show up or didn't practice at the bonus practice on Monday. So I think the 49ers have been preparing for P.J. Walker after news of that came earlier this week. I don't think it's confirmed yet, but I think Josina Anderson reported that DeShaun Watson won't play. Either way, this is a tremendously imbalanced Cleveland team. Number 1 defense rating and number 26 offense rating, and that is with plenty of DeShaun Watson already this season. So it's been an unstable offense. They lost Nick Chubb early this year. Yes, they do have some talent. I think they have a decent interior offensive line, but the trademark matchup of this game is on the other side of the football. 49ers trying to dethrone a number 1 defense for the second week in a row. And I think this challenge is tougher than the previous weeks because the headlining player, Myles Garrett, unlike Micah Parsons, he doesn't have weakness. You can't just run right at Myles Garrett and say, okay, this is an average to below average player now. Myles Garrett is also a juggernaut against the run. And, this is going to be the first time in his career that Trent Williams will have faced Myles Garrett. It's going to be a titanic matchup. It's going to be awesome for anybody who loves trench warfare in football. And we're set for something really, really special, I think, on that side of the ball on Sunday.
Now, will that be an exclusive matchup, or do they move Myles Garrett around much like Dallas would move Micah Parsons to different spots?
Garrett's going to play 85% of his snaps against left tackle, so he'll move a little bit. But Micah Parsons is the most positionally adaptable pass rusher in football. He'll come from everywhere. But Myles Garrett likes to stay on that side. He likes to work against the blind side. Trent Williams is very familiar with his game. He's watched tape on Myles Garrett for a long, long time, and he hasn't seen any deviations from that 85% rate on the left side. So we're going to see a whole heck of a lot of Trent Williams against Garrett. Now, even people wonder, well, why don't they move him so he goes against the worst offensive lineman? Well, the Browns made a very good move this offseason. They traded for Zadarius Smith, who is a B-list edge rusher, but still a really good edge rusher, right? And Zadarius works against the right side. So if the 49ers have to give a little extra attention to the Myles Garrett side, then Zadarius Smith gets a one-on-one on his side against McKivitz. Maybe the 49ers try to help McKivitz out with Zadarius Smith. That means Myles Garrett's going to be one-on-one against Trent Williams. Either way you shake this out, I think it makes more sense for both teams, or especially for the Browns, to just play according to their original tendency, and then we get to see the fireworks from there.
David Lombardi, The Athletic, with us on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. How's the 49ers' health? Tell us about Greenlaw and Mitchell and Banks.
This is the healthiest I've ever seen the 49ers, to be 100% honest, and I've been covering them for 7 years. Dre Greenlaw missed practice today, but he's been missing practice earlier in the week, every single week here for going on a month now. So I think Dre Greenlaw is going to play. I saw him walk through the locker room. He's, I think, just dealing with management, right? He's dealing with the ankle issue that's afflicted him here for a while, and it doesn't seem to afflict him on Sundays. Elijah Mitchell was back out at practice for the first time in 2 weeks today, and Aaron Banks was limited yesterday, and he was back out of practice again today. So the 49ers they escaped bad situation. They thought it might have been a biceps injury at first, but then they said it was a shoulder injury. Aaron looking healthy, confident that he's going to play on Sunday. And again, the fact that the 49ers have made it through the first 5 weeks of the season as healthy as they are really is significant, because they have been far and away the most efficient team in football so far. To me, you just put 2 and 2 together. If they could stay healthy, then they are the odds-on Super Bowl favorites. And they are the odds-on Super Bowl favorites, literally are right now. So that one variable for the 49ers that they need to have break in their favor is health. And so far it has. They need that to continue. I say that the 49ers have won the sprint in the NFL, but winning the trophy at the end requires winning the marathon. So it's time to move from sprint to marathon mode for the 49ers.
And as we discovered last year, being healthy in January is more important at times than being healthy in October. this is really the only 2-game, quote, road trip that they're going to have. They have Seattle and Philly back-to-back, but that doesn't really fit this plan. Are they going to stay out, or was there any thought to stay out back in that part of the country ahead of the Minnesota game?
No, there was never any thought of it. This is not the same as the previous years because they're not playing until Monday night against Minnesota. So there's an extra day plus several hours, right? Because it's not until a Monday night game on, I believe, October 23rd against Minnesota. That gives you plenty of time to fly back, sleep in your own bed, spend time with your own family, and then head back to Central Time for that game against Minnesota. It's not even an Eastern Time game. It's a Central Time game. So the 49ers, they had grown a little tired of spending weeks away from their families because there were years where they did 2 of those East Coast road trips. So I think they were happy that this year it wasn't even really an option on the table. You would really have to force it this week to stay back east because of the extra day. And that would be probably more tiresome than even coming home since you'd have an extra day to kill.
David Lombardi, let's do some myth busting because I follow you closely on Twitter, and I've noticed there's a few of these a week, and there have been a few maybe within the last 24 hours already, where you take something that people say about Brock Purdy, and then you gather the data, and you go, here's the actual truth. What are some of the top misconceptions about Brock Purdy?
Well, one of the top misconceptions going back to the offseason is that he doesn't have the arm strength to beat you outside the numbers. Well, Brock Purdy is the most efficient quarterback in football by a country mile this season on throws outside the numbers. Another misconception about Brock Purdy this year is that he is just succeeding because Shanahan schemes everything open for him and guys are wide open down the field. Well, the 49ers only average the 14th best separation average in the NFL, and all of their separation numbers are right around league average. So Brock Purdy is essentially operating with the same kind of tight versus wide windows as the average NFL quarterback. There's a misconception about Brock Purdy that he's limited athletically. Well, Brock Purdy, if you look at his 10-yard split in his 40-yard dash, it is 1/100th of a second slower than Lamar Jackson's 10-yard split was. So he's actually elite athletically within the context of something that actually matters at the quarterback position, right? And that is moving around in the pocket, moving around in short spaces. So at every single step of this, people have just been wrong about Brock Purdy. I don't know how many more times they want to continue being wrong, but maybe they like being wrong. I don't get it. But every single thing seems to be the polar opposite of the truth, right? We saw it started this off season. It really did. There was like this appetite to discredit what Brock Purdy was doing. I don't know. I think it's because of draft worship. That might have been part of it. Part of it might have been the Trey Lance quarterback debate, but that's over now because Trey Lance is no longer a 49er. But the truth is that Brock Purdy was better than you would expect from pick number 262. But it's not the first time it's happened, right? We've had a lot of players, even undrafted free agents, turn into really good football players. This just happens to have happened at the quarterback position. And everything that he is doing right now is quite literally the opposite of some of the criticism that he has taken over the past few months.
Is the fact that he is shining in so many intangible areas changing the way other front offices look at the quarterback position?
It happened with Joe Montana back in the past. That he was a 3rd-round pick. It happened with Tom Brady. He was a 6th-round pick. And I don't just want to limit it to the two greatest quarterbacks of all time. I think the quarterback position historically and currently as well is a position of intangibles because the processing power is so important. And, just there are intangibles that are inherently connected with success at the QB position. And unfortunately, it's really, really hard to project intangibles, especially moving from the college level to the NFL level. And if quarterback is more reliant on those intangibles versus actual physically measurable skill set than any other position, then you are going to find great quarterbacks probably a little bit later in the draft because just from the scientific process of doing things, you're probably going to put more emphasis on physical capabilities and physical traits in the draft. So I think everybody's always trying to look for a way to quantify the intangibles. That's where the S2 cognition test has come in, and Brock Purdy scored really, really well on that. So maybe that's going to cause teams to be better at identifying intangibles in quarterbacks moving forward. But if that's the case, the 49ers are happy that they're able to have Brock Purdy drop to 262, their compensatory pick before the league found a better way to figure this out.
David, what is the role for Randy Gregory going forward?
Well, Randy Gregory is a really, really talented edge rusher. He's 242 pounds, which means that he's got speed, right? He's on the lighter end, but he still plays very, very violently at the line of scrimmage, and he's not a liability against the run. So that's just, the things that I just listed, you don't see lumped together with one player all too often, which is why he has been so productive when he's been healthy over the past 3 seasons. Well, 2 with Dallas, 1 with Denver, and then this year, Randy Gregory fell off a little bit in those first 4 games with Denver. But it sounds to me like it was just not a very good fit and relationship with the new coaching staff. Sean Payton's staff came in there. Randy Gregory said that they didn't really have him in their future plans, so it got off to a poor start. It got off to a poor start for the entire Denver defense. They've been historically bad this year. They gave up the 70 points to Miami. So if the 49ers have their way here, then Randy Gregory is going to be that bookending edge rusher for Nick Bosa. Bosa draws a whole lot of double team help, and it's so important for the bookending edge rusher to be able to beat one-on-ones. And, especially in a wide 9, you want that bookending edge rusher to have speed, which is why they went out and traded and signed Dee Ford back in 2019, the same offseason that they drafted Nick Bosa. And if he can win one-on-ones, then that 49ers pass rush can enter a new level, right? You see it with the teams they're playing this weekend in the Cleveland Browns. They have Myles Garrett on one side. That's going to be a monster matchup, but they traded for Zadarius Smith this offseason to bookend Myles Garrett, and Zadarius is getting a ton of one-on-one opportunities because everybody's trying to double-team the monster that is Myles Garrett on the other side. And with those one-on-one opportunities, Zadarius Smith has won a whole heck of a lot. So the 49ers have a similar kind of plan for Randy Gregory.
David, wonderful stuff, man. Thank you so much for jumping in here and hanging out a little bit.
Yeah, thank you so much.